September 22nd, 2019, Joe here, Simple Life Show. I just wanted to thank everybody for joining me today. We're talking about the conversation between Trump and the Ukrainian government that's been prevalent in the media over the last few days. I'm sure everyone has probably seen some of this stuff going on. And I just really wanted to clear up and kind of give you a little bit more perspective and make it a little bit simpler to understand what's really happening here. Now, since there was a conversation about some sort of investigation that was ongoing. And this is actually an ongoing investigation that was halted a few years back. And that's what a lot of people don't want to tell you. But we kind of have to step back a little bit further to understand what's really going on here. And of course, Joe Biden was the vice president at the time of the Obama administration. And he was also the foreign relations arm to the Ukraine at that time. So his son, Hunter Biden, was part of the board member and also a lawyer of this company called Burisma, which is an energy exploration company that's been in the Ukraine since 2002. So was that a problem? Maybe, maybe not. The issue here is that did Joe Biden and his son were they on the same page? Did they know what was going on? Was there a conflict of interest? Joe Biden said that he has no idea that his son was actually had any dealings with the Ukraine, but his own son called him a liar in not so many ways. But he had already basically divulged recently to the media that there was at least one conversation about that. Of course, Joe Biden is telling everyone that he had no recollection of any kind of meetings or anything like that, as we can see here.
Look, here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated. He is violating every basic norm of the president.
All right, so Biden is not a person that is really good with words. He's really short with words, and we kind of have to give him a little slack here because he is getting a little older, and he does confuse his words a lot. Maybe he just forgot. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that he didn't forget because of how reserved he was when he was first asked this question. Seems to me that he really had to think about it and how it was really going to affect not only his candidacy but also the entire 2020 election. And I'll tell you why. For a couple main reasons. When like I said, when Joe Biden was actually the vice president, what happened is that there was an investigation going on in corruption, and Burisma, the company that his son was actually part of, was caught up in that corruption scandal and the ensuing investigation. So what did Biden do? Biden stepped in and he said, you know what, if you don't drop all of this investigation, then I am just taking my $1 billion and I'm going home. And he was pretty boisterous about that. And we can see that through his next clip.
I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So he got the special prosecutor fired. Everything was hunky-dory at that point. And I guess that Biden and his son Hunter, they just assumed that everything was swept under the rug. Everything was fine. They could continue with their business dealings and everything else. Of course, a lot of money was still flowing in and out of the Ukraine. Hunter and his associates were becoming enriched off of their dealings with the Burisma company and the Ukrainian government and everything else. Now, 2016 rolls around. Now, what happens now? Now, I think that a lot of people have forgotten about this. But there was a lot of DNC operatives that had went to the Ukrainian government, the Ukrainian embassy here in the United States, and were trying to dig up dirt on Trump. They were the ones that started all this stuff. I mean, it wasn't just the the dossier and Peter Steele and all that kind of stuff. They were also employing, or at least trying to employ, the help from the Ukrainian government. They say in a lot of times with psychology, you always blame your adversaries for your own sins. And this is exactly what's happening in this political environment. And I sincerely believe that when Biden heard about this, that they were actually reopening this investigation, that he started to get really scared, along with a lot of the Democrats. So why do you think that they are trying to push this impeachment thing so hard? There is a reason because of this, because of the story is starting to unravel, especially, and this is just one of the little pieces that goes into play. This is just one of the pieces. We already know that that Hunter Biden proved that his father lied in this New Yorker article a few months ago, where he said that he says here, his father discussed Burisma with him just once. Dad said, "I hope you know what you're doing," and I said, "I do." He said, so that just tells you right there that Joe Biden was lying about the whole thing. It also goes further. See, it was foreign policy role Joseph R. Biden Jr. enthusiastically embraced during his vice presidency. Of course, he was all about the Ukraine, browbeating Ukraine notoriously corrupt government to clean up its act. Okay, of course, he was calling the Ukraine government corrupt when it was his own DNC that was the one that was corrupt. And one of his most memorable performances came on the trip to Kiev in March 2016 when he threatened to withhold $1 billion in United States loan guarantees if Ukraine's leaders did not dismiss his country's top prosecutor, who had been accused of turning a blind eye to the corruption of his own office and among the political elite. Of course, maybe he had no idea that that the involvement of his own sons in Burisma was actually going to be taken down with him. So I guess that's what prompted the whole thing. You decide. You do your own research. That's what I've come up with. But it's the old corruption. It just keeps going and going and going. April 16, 2014, White House records show that Devon Archer, Hunter Biden's business partner, made a private visit to the White House for a meeting with the Vice President Biden. 5 days later, on April 21st, Joe Biden landed Kiev for a series of high-level meetings with Ukrainian officials. We all know that that corruption follows the money, and there's been a lot of Democratic money flowing in and out of the Ukrainian government for a long time now. Is it entirely the fault of the Ukrainian government? Maybe they are trying to do the right thing now. We saw in WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks has been thrown on the bus a lot, obviously. But WikiLeaks a while ago, they had revealed Clinton campaign officials, including those who ran her opposition research operation, said that they never received information from Chalupa. Of course, Chalupa is a Ukrainian/U.S. operative within a DNC at that time. Of course, the WikiLeaks memo proved otherwise. We see this here. This is from Chalupa since May 3rd, 2016, shortly before the election. Here, a lot more coming down the pipe. I spoke to a delegation of 68 investigative journalists from Ukraine last Wednesday at the Library of Congress, the Open World Society Forum. They put me on the program to speak specifically about Paul Manafort. Of course, that was Trump's campaign manager at the time. They wanted to undermine him at the heel. And I invited Michael Isikoff, from whom I am working with the past few weeks, and connected him to the Ukrainians. More offline tomorrow, since there is a big Trump component you and Lauren need to be aware of that will hit in the next few weeks, and something I'm working on that you should be aware of. Of course, the Democrats were behind everything, and we all know this. I mean, there's plenty of rabbit trails to go down, and you can go down them all you want, but I think at this point we can really see that this entire thing is just unraveling a type of scheme that the Democrats were really pulling off, or at least trying to pull off before the 2016 election. And this was just one of the things. Now, Joe Biden didn't want to get thrown under the bus. He didn't want his son to be thrown under the bus, obviously. But he took his power as vice president and threatened an entire nation with it, that he was going to withhold $1 billion in U.S. guaranteed funds if they didn't back off his son. Now, if that's not paternalism or whatever you want to call it, nepotism, whatever, I don't know what that is anymore. It's the same thing that the Democrats have been accusing Trump of for a long time. They've been doing it for much longer. There have been a lot of corruption going on, and this isn't just about Hillary and the Democrats that are DNC. This is just about an overall lack of morality when it comes to running a nation. There's a lot of stuff that's going on underneath the scenes that that we're not even aware of. This last article I pulled up really just kind of steals it home here, where the here, one second. Well, basically, what this is saying here is, hold on for a second. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up here real quick. Okay, here it is. This was actually from recently, April 7, 2019. Ukrainian to U.S. prosecutors, why don't you want our evidence on Democrats? And I'm going to go ahead and pause that here. Sorry for all the technical interruptions there. You know, I'm trying to do the best I can here, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. But this is what kind of just drives it all home. Okay, Ukrainian law enforcement officials believe that they have evidence of wrongdoing by American Democrats and their allies in Kiev, ranging from 2016 election interference to obstructing criminal probes. But they say they have been thwarted in trying to get to Trump's Justice Department to act. What has been stopping them, I don't know. Maybe they've been doing this for much longer than we thought. The deputy head of the Prosecutor General's International Legal Cooperation Department told me he and other senior law enforcement officials tried unsuccessfully since last year to get visas from the U.S. Embassy to Kiev to deliver the evidence to Washington. Once focus of Ukrainian investigators has been money spirited unlawfully out of Ukraine and moved to the U.S. by businessmen friendly to the prior pro-Russia regime of Viktor Yankovic. Ukrainian businessmen authorized payments for lobbying efforts directed at the U.S. government. He told me, in addition, these payments were made from funds that were required during the money laundering operation. That's what this really has to do with, is money laundering. And what the Democrats have been involved in this entire time. Okay, so they go further by saying here that there was a lot of different things here, a lot of different things that they want to talk about. And I'll leave it at this. Sworn statements from 2 Ukrainian officials admitting that their agency tried to influence the 2016 presidential election in favor of Hillary Clinton. The effort including leaking an alleged ledger showing payments to then Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. Now that had to do with the DNC cooperative person there, which was Chalupa, and her efforts into trying to find dirt on Paul Manafort. Further, he says contracts between Democratic figures in Washington and Ukrainian officials that involved passing along dirt on Donald Trump. Also, financial records showing a Ukrainian natural gas company routed more than 3 million of American accounts tied to Hunter Biden. And that, of course, that was that company that we were just talking about, Burisma, younger son of then Vice President Joe Biden, who managed U.S.-Ukraine relations for the Obama administration. That's just where we're going to leave it right there. That's what this is all about. They have been trying to get this information over to the U.S. into the right hands for quite some time now, but they have been having problems. This wasn't a telephone call that was just placed out of nowhere just to try to find dirt on Hunter Biden. This has to do with the setting wrongs right, and a lot of the corruption has been going on in the Ukrainian government over there. So they're, it seems to me like they're trying to do the right thing, and they're trying to set a lot of wrongs right. Okay, so I'm sorry this video has been kind of jerky here and there, and I really didn't know which direction to really take this video in, but I just really wanted to get that information out that this whole thing is all part of this unraveling with the DNC and its whole involvement in the 2016 election, and how they were trying to get Hillary Clinton or ensure that she would be the next president. This is something that we really need to think about. It's only going to get worse, like I said, if we continue to do nothing. We have to really do as much research as possible. We have to keep our eyes open to a lot of these things, and we have to keep everything simple. So until next time, this is Joe signing out. Have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video.